Hello there everyone and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today we had something a little bit exciting. We have a new registration plate. So this is a press plate registration plate and it is so fun to use. So this is the Regal wreath and you can see here that we have little pieces of this that you can kind of add in different ways to your cards. We do also have this sheet here, and this is going to help you line everything up to get it all perfect. So I am just going to pop that onto my Better Press bottom plate. And I'm adhering that template down with a little bit of tape so it doesn't move. So once I have that in position, I'm then going to take the largest piece. So this is the kind of wreath piece that we have. And I'm just going to place that into position on the template, making sure that it's within the black lines that we have on there. I'm then going to bring in a piece of cardstock. So this is 100% cotton cardstock. So this is going to allow that impression to be put into the cardstock and then actually keep it there. Again, I'm popping that onto the plate and adding a little bit of tape to keep that in place. Now the fresh inks from Altenew work perfectly with the Better Press plates, and I'm going to be using the evergreen ink for this. I find best a swirling motion to add the ink is the way that I do it. I find that this kind of adds the ink evenly and it doesn't give me so much splotchy marks. If you do have any ink that has transferred to that kind of template that we have there, just make sure that you use a little bit of tissue to get rid of that before you pop your cardstock on, because it can kind of transfer to your card panel. I then ran it through my machine to get that beautiful letterpress look on the panel that we have going on there. We're then going to remove this wreath piece that we have. It can be a little bit stuck to the plate because it is magnetized. So I am just going to move that off, and I'm then going to add in the other little pieces. So we have two pieces. We have the flowers, 3 flower clusters on one, and then we also have leaf clusters on the other. For the flower clusters, I'm lining those up with the pink outlines that we have on the template. And for the leaves, I'm lining those up with the blue ones that we have on the template. I'm then going to add some ink to these. Again, I'm using fresh ink. So I'm going to be using the Heartbeat ink for the little flowers that we have going on here. And then for the greens, I am going to be using the Swamp Green. While I was using these, I thought that it was a little bit difficult to kind of get these smaller areas with these larger inks. For the second card, I did use my cubes, so yeah, that was a lot easier. So if you have ink cubes, this is a little bit easier to do rather than a little bit more tricky with the large ones that we have. So I'm just going to add the ink on there, doing that swirling motion and removing any of the ink that I have on the template with a little bit of tissue. I'm then going to place my panel back into position over the top and then run that through my die cutting machine. So once that has been run through, we then get the beautiful kind of colored details onto that outline that we've just created. So we have the flowers and leaves. And as you can see, we only have half each. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take those same pieces and then rearrange them on the other side of the wreath. So there are 2 kind of outlines on both sides, and we're just going to line these up again. So for the leaves, we're going to line them up with the blue outlines that we have on the template. I do find that having like a little tweezer set that we have here does really help with getting these in the perfect position. And I'm then going to take the flower pieces and pop those in the little pink outline that we have over to the side. I'm then going to take the same inks as I used before. So I have the Heartbeat on this one here for the little flowers, which are so pretty. I love this red. It is a beautiful red. And then I'm also going to be doing the leaves in the Swamp Green again. As you can see, I do tend to get quite a bit of ink on this template, but it is easy to remove just with a dry piece of tissue, so you don't need to worry too much. I'm then going to place it back into position over the top and then run that through my machine. So once that has been done, you can see that we now have the whole wreath completed. It is fabulous. We have different colors on there, and I just love this look that we can get with this registration plate. So to finish this kind of card panel off, All I'm going to do is add in a sentiment, and this sentiment is from the Regal Wreath press plate again. And I'm going to be using some jet black for this sentiment here. I could have used the same green as I used for the wreath if I wanted to, but I decided to go a little bit darker on this one here. Again, I went a little bit overzealous with the inking on this, and I'm just going to remove any of that ink that I have around the edges just with a piece of dry tissue. I'm going to place that panel back into position again and then run that through my machine. So we had that outline on the kind of piece, the transparent piece, and that is going to give me the perfect placement for the sentiment in the center as well. This is really clever little design that we have here. So for my second card, I am going to do this a little bit differently. So I'm going to start off with adding in the solid pieces. So that's the flowers and also the leaves that we have. Again, I'm lining them up as we did before. So for the flowers, I'm lining those up within the pink outline. And then for the leaves, I'm lining those up within the blue outline. I'm going to add a panel to my top plate for the letterpress system. This time I'm using a grey coloured cardstock, and it is 100% cotton again. So I am going to add in the greens. Again, I've added in a little cube this time. It was so much easier than the other one, and this one is the Mossy Meadow ink. And then for the reds, I'm going to be using the same ink as before, which is the Heartbeat. Sorry about that. So the Heartbeat ink I'm adding there. As you can see, I made far less mess using the little cube, so I would recommend the cubes on this over the kind of little, well, the larger circles that I used on the other card. I did move the little metal piece a little bit, so I'm just going to make sure that I have that back in the outline before I add the little panel piece on top. So once that's done, I can then run that through the machine, and that's going to create half of the wreath for me. So like we did before, what we're going to do is we're going to swap these pieces around. So I'm just going to remove the pieces over to the side first, and then we can rearrange. So we're going to add the flowers. We're going to just turn those around and then add those within the little pink outline that we have, the ready pink outline. And these do fit in really quite easily into those shapes that we have. So just moving that slightly with my little tweezers. Again, I do find that this really does help. And I'm then going to add in the little leaves that we have in there and popping those in the blue outline. I'm going to use the same inks as before. So we have the Heartbeat for the little red flowers that we have going on. And then I'm going to be using the green ink, which is the Mossy Meadow, and adding those in to the leaves. Remember, if you do get a little bit of ink on that template, because it is plastic, it does tend to kind of transfer that ink a lot easier to the panel. I don't know why, but maybe because it just sits there. So it's just like, yep, you can have that. You can have that ink that's been just laying on me. So make sure you do remove that ink before you pop on your panel. So then we're going to just add the panel piece onto the top, and then again run that through the die cutting machine that I have over to the side. So once that has been run through, you can see that we have the kind of flowers and leaves all in place, and you could definitely just leave that as it is. You don't necessarily have to use the template. I'm then going to line up the template on my glimmer machine. My glimmer machine is not on, and I'm lining that up along those kind of lines that we have underneath. So that's where I'm going to place my cardstock. I'm making sure that the black line on the template lines up with those lines underneath, so I know where to place my cardstock later on. And I'm then going to just add my little wreath piece underneath that template and making sure it lines up. It is very handy to have the little tweezers here so you can make those little small adjustments underneath the panel that we have here. So I'm making sure that everything's in the perfect position, and then I can remove that template, and then I'm going to turn my machine on. I wouldn't recommend to have your machine on while you're doing the kind of placement of it. Reason being, the template is plastic and it may melt. So once everything has heated up, I also added a sentiment in the center of the wreath. I'm then going to add some gold foil on top, making sure it's shiny side down. Add in my panel, lining that up with the line that I'd kind of eyeballed with the little template, and then I'm going to add the top plates on and then run that through my machine. So once that has been run through, it's the moment of truth. Has this foiled in the correct place? And we're just going to gently peel that off, and you can see just how beautiful that looks. We've added in all of those little delicate lines and also the sentiment with the foil. Now I want to pop these onto coloured card bases, and I wanted to have that kind of border around the outside. So I'm just going to take 1/4 of an inch off the kind of edges. So between the two edges I took 1/8, and then just 1/4 of an inch off the bottom, and I did the same for both of the panels. And you can see just how different the white and the grey panels are here. You can't really tell when they're separated, but when you pop them together you can see just how much difference that kind of different colour in the background really does create. So I have that grey piece and the white piece. Then I have 2 card bases that I created out of some coloured cardstock. I have the olive and also crimson here. And I'm just going to see which one works best on the card bases. I thought the grey panel on the red was a little bit dull, so I've moved that over to the green one to add a little bit of dimension to these cards and add a little bit more luxury. What I'm going to do is I am going to add some foam tape behind the whole of the panel and then pop that into place onto the card base. So I have the grey panel that we did with the foiling on the olive green cardstock base, and then for the white one that we did with just letterpress, I'm going to add that onto the crimson cardstock that we have. So here are the 2 cards complete. I love that you can get different looks with the registration plate, and that you can kind of mix and match foiling, letterpress and colours. So I really do hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you like the cards as well. If this has inspired you to create a project of your own, please share, because we would love to see. Thank you so much for watching everyone, and we'll see you again really, really soon. Bye-bye. Hey there, Lydia here. I really do hope that you've just enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you can get your daily dose of crafty techniques and tutorials just like this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.